happened to, and so I quit doing some of the technical stuff that I've had to do before on here when we had better equipment. There's like an equalizer and stuff like that, and bass boost and stuff. So I quit fucking with the shit and just did like a normalizer and just quit. Yeah. So that may have something to do with it too. Yeah. Is that I was overcompensating for things I didn't need to compensate for anymore. Should be the title of my life story.
Right. Yeah. Let's complicate the simple.
Right. Keep it simple, stupid. That's Remember that moniker in math? They were like, keep it simple, stupid. I'm like, this is fucking algebra.
Man, I live by that every day, man. It's funny. Amazing.
You know a whole lot about this one thing, but the thing I'm telling you about is not in those brackets.
Yeah.
But, Roger points it out to me all the time. It's just like, we had this conversation yesterday. You stood in this kitchen. You agreed to these things. I told you this set of scenarios, and we talked about it, and now you don't remember it. But you know exactly what you did at work at 2:45 yesterday.
Yeah, I get that. I've gotten that from every woman I've been in a relationship with.
Yeah. It's just part of being a professional, I guess. But you know what else is a part of being a professional?
That's the only one I know.
Showing up on Sunday morning to do a podcast.
Man, I'm killing the professional game.
Rolling in hot, talking about some comic books.
Yeah.
And that's what we do here. This is the Southern Fried Geekery Podcast. We want to welcome all of you who are joining us once again to the show. I am, as usual, Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
Matt Trogdon.
And we're glad to be back. As per the last couple weeks, Craig is still dealing with some family illness stuff, and he's not able to join us. The rumors are not true, though. He is still with us. He is coming back.
I was like, "Ooh, I can't wait to hear the rumor." Like, gender reassignment.
It's going around. Like he's flown to Mars. Like he's quit the show. He's got a grudge against us.
Oh, that's probably true, though.
Well, but he's always had a grudge against us, though. But he keeps showing up.
Yeah.
But it's fine. He's just, like I said, got some family health issues that he's dealing with, like a good man should, and he is rocking out and being a rock star in that moment. So we want to again wish him and his family a lot of love, and can't wait till he's able to rejoin us, because this is the bright spot in our week for us, as we were discussing before the show. This is episode 207. Can you believe that?
Wow,
whole 207. Next week, 208 is our technical 4th anniversary. 4 whole years of doing this, and to celebrate, we're going to throw everything off schedule and not do it on Sunday morning and just be low key. It's going to be kind of a low key show, with me being in school and Craig having everything he has going on, and you having to travel so much. We're not going to have a big to do about it. We're just going to celebrate our 4 years by keep being awesome.
Consistency. I can't imagine a better way to celebrate.
Right? It says the man who loves the chaos. So you don't know, guys. You don't know. Matt has like a chest tattoo. It just says consistency. Like it's in Old English font. It's like it's somebody sewing up a big C out of kind of like a Crip sign. Yeah. It's like a gang tat, but it just says consistency.
Exactly.
So, but man, how's your week been? How's everything going?
It's going well. Better than I deserve, as I often say. Very, very constructive. Getting a lot of stuff done that around my home that I put off for years and years. Yeah. So it feels good to actually get these things accomplished.
Move forward a little bit.
Yeah. It's really refreshing.
Yeah.
So, but it's been good.
Well, I wrapped up my last final, so that's done. I have a few edits to make to one paper. And send it back in. But other than that, I'm through with the school year. Next semester is my last semester of law school.
Wow.
So almost done.
Man.
Yeah.
Just seems to have flown by with so little effort.
I'm glad it has for you.
For me. I just
from the outside looking in.
It's been so easy for me.
Well, I appreciate your support and cheering me on. No, it's been hell. Law school was a mistake. No, it's been great. It's challenging, obviously, but yeah, I'm glad that is behind me, and the week has otherwise sucked. So,
yeah. Well, and every time this kind of thing comes up, when you talk about law school, and I know you'll agree with this, got to throw some credit out there to your partner for being there during this thing. These things are hard on partners.
They really are, but I got to say, I don't think I've talked to you. My partner, Roger, actually fled the state So if anybody wonders how
Again,
difficult...
credit to great decisions and support.
If anybody wonders how difficult life is with me, like when I'm stressed and dealing with tests, Roger spent like 4 days in New Orleans, came home for 2, packed up his 87-year-old grandmother, and fled the state.
Yeah.
To go. So dealing with an 87-year-old grandma on a road trip is the better it's the better scenario than dealing with me being stressed during
The man's
finals.
a saint.
Yeah, he really is. I don't know why he puts up with me. He could do so much better, and I tell him that on a regular basis. I'm like, someday,
Oh, that's your mistake. You don't do that.
Someday you're going to wise up. You're going to upgrade,
Yeah.
and I support you in this.
Yeah.
I'll just be here being sad. But he really is great, and I made better decisions. I married way up. So.
Yeah, I mean that is in all seriousness, that's commendable because these things are hard on partnerships. I have seen it. I know people that have gone through medical school and law school. And it can really wreak havoc on a partnership.
Oh, he's getting his payback because or I should say I'm getting my comeuppance or payback something because we were together when he was going through nursing school, and like I got to deal with him going through nursing school finals, and so now he's just like, oh, okay, you remember that time? You remember those scenarios?
Yeah.
Here, let me just give this back to you in doses. So he's getting his digs in. It's well earned. So. In the midst of that, did you get to read any comic books this week?
I did get to read some. My short stack, my big 3, I'm going to talk about. The first one on my list is from Marvel. This is from the X-Men storyline.
Mm-hmm.
This is Inferno number 3. Man.
Mm-hmm.
You read this?
Uh-huh.
Oh, boy.
Uh-huh. I went ahead and moved it up on my little 3-week-old. I haven't read the stack yet because it's Inferno.
Man, it is coming down, brother. Great issue. Of course, the creative team on this, Jonathan Hickman, of course, I guess you would say the creative force that started this whole new X storyline. The pencilers on this are R.B. Silva, Stefano Caselli, and Valero Schitti.
I think it's pronounced Skitty.
Please,
like you pronounce it Skiti.
Yeah, Skitty. Please.
I think
I really hope that's how you say it.
That's how Jason Wood from the EOC podcast says it. So, and I tend to he knows all these artists personally. So
he's definitely going to know better than I am.
Yeah.
The inker is Adriano Di Benedetto, and the colorist is David Curiel.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. If you haven't been following the X storyline so far, you've done yourself a disservice. This is amazing, and things are happening, man.
Yeah, from all accounts, I think this is Hickman's swan song.
Yeah.
With the X line, he's bringing the pain. Like he's going out with some heat.
Yeah, this is setting up some amazing storylines for the future.
Yes,
not only the ending to his current one. Number 2 on my short stack. I didn't even know about this book. I just saw it on the shelf. This is from Ahoy Comics. Creative team on this are several. You've got Mark Russell has done a couple of stories in this. Bryce Ingman has done 1 or 2 stories on this. We've got Scott Morse as a writer. The artists on this are, let's see, you've got Peter Krause, Kelly Fitzpatrick. You've got, Joe Orsack, Paul Little, and Joe Orsack and Paul Little again on the last story. I think I named them all. I bought this comic because I opened the opening page. The opening page is a quote. He was a brave man who first ate an oyster. I was like, that's all I need to know. Sold.
I love that they're pulling. Well, you kind of have to. They're pulling from Immortal Hulk there, right? Because it's all in the black, like the black background with the white lettering.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an homage to that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So, and it was a really funny. This is just of course, as it says on the cover, important new superhero universe begins here, a la the 1990s Image number ones. This was really funny. This was laugh out loud funny. It's just parodies of existing superhero, comic book hero stories. So I highly recommend it. It's just a good laugh out loud. And there's some fake advertisements in here. There's some throwbacks to like the fried pie advertisements of old.
Yeah.
They do a parody of that. He does a parody of the old comic book
Nice.
Advertisements. These are done by Mark Russell. The funniest one, I think, is the Joke Bible. Apparently, it's a Bible you buy that stinks to high heaven. Yeah. So loads of laughs there.
Tickling that nostalgia muscle.
Yeah, it was, and it was just really good comedy, I have to say. Okay, so number 3 on my short stack.
Give it to me.
Is a throwback.
Nice.
Speaking of the 90s, this is from 1996. X Patrol.
Okay, you dipped way back. This was one of the crossovers, wasn't it?
This is the Amalgam Comics, where DC and Marvel would join hands, or Image and somebody else would join hands, and they would mix characters and create stories with them. And it was the utmost of garbage. It was all terrible and completely unredeemable, and in my opinion, unforgivable. No, just look no further than Nightclaw. Somebody should have been punished.
Matt has hard feelings about
this. I do. This happened in the 90s, and it's still clear as day when I saw Nightclaw.
Matt's pupils are like dilated. Like, yeah. I'm actually scared sitting at this table right now that you blame me.
Do you have anything to do with Nightclaw?
I did not. I was
okay.
fine.
All right.
So,
all right.
I was still sucking my thumb.
Okay. All right. So this is a team of super powered folk. It's made up of characters with some very creative names like Pharaoh Man, Beastling, Shatterstarfire, Niles Cable, and Elastigirl. Yeah, and they're teaming up to do things that aren't very interesting, like fight a monster or two. Don't recommend anybody read this unless you want to gain greater appreciation for what we have available today.
Well, there's somebody has to be an example of what not to do.
Yeah.
The art in there looked good for 90s art.
Good for 90s art.
I'll caveat that, yeah. For that kind of like weird, extended, extorted style.
Yeah, I mean,
it's Liefeldian.
Oh, it definitely is. Yeah. Somebody was definitely pulling the Liefeld card in this, just because. And what I mean by that is the layouts, the action scenes, the faces matching the dialogue, or maybe not.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'm glad you could spend that moment with this book.
I was proud of myself. I read the whole thing. I read all the words. I didn't skip.
Not even one?
I read all the balloons, all the dialogue. I read everything.
Check that off your list.
Yeah. So it was a test of strength that I feel pretty proud that I made it through.
I'm proud for you. I really am. So my short stack is more current, not as much of a throwback. For the first thing, I'll follow your lead and just start off with Marvel. The Avengers number 50, or if you're going by legacy numbering, it's number 750. I'm still reading the Avengers. I think I'm the only one out of our crew that is. I'm an Avengers completist, though. I have not enjoyed Jason Aaron's tenure on the Avengers like I wanted to. There's been moments of really, really high points in the book, though, so I think that's important to put out. It hasn't all been bad. So this is kind of an anniversary or a legacy issue. All of it, of course, written by Jason Aaron, but you have artists on here that such as Aaron Cooter, Carlos Pacheco, Rafael Fronteras, Ed McGuinness does a little bit in this book. And he started off on the Avengers run. You've got Javier Garrón, David Baldeón, and then my personal favorite, you got Steve McNiven on this.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Christopher Ruocchio also does some stuff with Frank Diamata on the colors. Great colors to Alex Sinclair, David Curiel, Matt Hollingsworth, Rochelle Rosenberg. So lots of great stuff with Corey Pettit doing the letters. I feel like we picked books that we had to read off like a Rolodex this week. This is really cool, though. I really, really enjoyed the issue. Like I said, for me, the McNiven art it is what does it. I love Steve McNiven when I see him. His Moon Knight covers
are
killer.
Dope, as the kids say.
Yeah. So part of the story is just a conglomeration of all of these alternate universe Avengers pulled together with some stuff that's happening that relates back to the primal Avengers. If you remember that they went back and like the Immortal Iron Fist, the Black Panther, Odin is hanging out. Like all of these legacy characters, they go back to like 10,000 BC caveman days where these folks started out. Starbrand, the Phoenix Force, all of that, and it shows them making some moves because Kid Thanos is messing with the timeline. And
jerk.
I don't like Kid Thanos. Like, I don't like that kind of. It's comic booky, and so I can't, like, for no other reason than it's just not my cup of tea. But Kid Thanos is not a construction that I typically care about or that I want to read about. But this was fun. You get some Deathlocks thrown into the mix. That's great. You get Galactus. He shows up. So Kazar does some stuff. It's really fun. McNiven draws the Brood in this book, and that's worth the price of admission. So go check that out. It's a fun anniversary issue. Even if you're not on the Avengers, you will probably enjoy it, and it sets some stuff up. In the middle of my short stack, Black Hammer Reborn #6. I'm a what's the word that the weird internet people use? Simp. I'm a simp for the Black Hammer universe.
What does that mean?
I think it means like I'm the bottom in a weird GIMP relationship.
I don't think that's how comics work when you buy them.
I don't know.
That sounds.
I'm a stan. Maybe that's the better thing
okay.
for internet vernacular. I'm a stan.
That I understand.
For the Black Hammer universe. I love this book. Continues the story of the Black Hammer. You get Skulldigger thrown into the mix. This is Jeff Lemire, of course, who I will never be able to say enough good words about. Malachi Ward, Matthew Sheehan, and Nate Picos wrap up that. If you're not reading this, why? Like the Black Hammer universe, again, it's just a love letter to comics, to the medium of comics, especially the superhero medium. But this wraps in some characters that we've seen before. Like I said, Skulldigger actually comes into the mix and is doing all kinds of weirdness with in relation to Black Hammer and the universe as we know it to be expanded. Also, in these issues, and I don't think I've ever talked about it, but there are a little backup story by Jeff Lemire and Rich Tommaso called Inspector and Sector. In this one, it's in the case of the Electric Boy. It's a noir crime thing with a cockroach who is the noir chain smoking detective. And it's Rich Tommaso, so it's fun Rich Tommaso stories. Kind of irreverent, but definitely like in love with that medium or in love with that style of storytelling. Last but certainly not least, maybe some of the most gorgeous art I've seen all year. Is Wonder Woman Historia, The Amazons. This is book 1. It's written by Kelly Sue DeConnick, gorgeously drawn by Phil Jimenez, with Hi-Fi, Arif Prianto, and Romulo Fajardo Jr. wrapping up that. This goes, again, this is the throwback. This launches you back to the birth of the Amazons as a people. You see, Diana is not in this book, but her mother is, and you see how the female goddesses, or the female gods, kind of reached a point with the other gods as far as like being overlooked and unappreciated, and they created the Amazons. The Amazons, they took a little piece of themselves and put it into what the Amazons are, in a little bit of a retcon or a changing of that history. But man, is it, dude, Phil Jimenez just went above and beyond. This is stunning work. It's an oversized cover. It's like Black Label. It's the size of book that we always talk about that Black Label should be with some of these artists. It's the kind of the square bounds, 10 by 10 maybe. I think I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit bigger than that, but it's gorgeous. And I absolutely love it. So if you haven't read this, definitely check it out. Yeah, you need to see it. And so that's my short stack of the week.
You mentioned Galactus. Are you reading Fantastic Four through the ages or whatever?
Through the ages, yeah.
Did you read this week's?
I have not. It's still on my stack. I haven't moved it up yet.
Oh man, It was really good.
That whole series has been amazing. Is it Sean Isaacs who's doing the art on that?
I don't know. I don't remember now.
I'd have to go look.
Yeah.
We're in a comic shop. I can go pull it off the shelf while you're talking in a minute just to lock that down. But I think so, dude. That whole series has been great.
Yeah. This issues was especially good.
I love that entire run, man. Like the entire concept, the Spider-Man life story, everything's been really cool. Yeah,
the Spider-Man life story is really what sold me on these life story books. Yeah. That one I picked up just like maybe, and it was outstanding.
Yeah.
It was outstanding. Yeah.
That was the Darsky. Like I fell in love. Like I've always liked Zdarsky. Like, I've always been back. Like, I don't like Zdarsky when he's meaning to be a comic.
Yeah.
Like, when he's meaning to be comedic. Like, I think Zdarsky writes actually serious better than he writes funny.
I think so too.
But Zdarsky loves being funny. So his comedy stuff I don't really jam on. But the books like that, like, he reined it in, and he found out how to make it work for him. And that was great. So I really enjoyed that. You know, speaking of that, these type of like stories that Marvel has been telling, and DC does it too, but we got some news this week, not about a life story book, but about another book that we're going to be getting that I'm super excited about, and I think you are too. We are going to be getting a Hulk book from Jim Rugg.
Yep, I was going to bring that up too.
Yeah. Well, I figured this is a good time to talk about news before we get into our roundtable.
Yeah.
Jim Rugg is giving us the Incredible Hulk as told via the same way that that Ed Piskor told the X-Men story, or retold the X-Men story, I should say, and then Scioli did something different. His was more interpretive, but he did Fantastic Four.
Grand Design.
And the Grand Design books. I'm stoked because
dude.
I've said it before, Jim Rugg is an incredible artist. I love the Street Angel stuff that he does. I've always wanted to see what he could do in these, like with something like this.
Have you looked at his channel where he shows the artwork for this?
I did. I glanced through some of it.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
It looks stunning.
I watched the whole video. He does one whole nothing but like 40-minute video of nothing but him talking about this Grand Design, and he shows some pages, and it looks so badass.
I'm so glad they picked it. I mean, obviously, I'm glad they picked this character for him because I'm a
huge
Hulk fan.
He pitched it.
Did he?
He came to them because he is a lifelong Hulk fan.
That's
and
my boy.
Hulk was the only comic book character that he really was into as a kid.
Nice.
And stayed with. So, he talks about on his channel, whenever this project was, they gave him the green light.
Yeah, literally.
That was a year and a half ago.
You did there.
Right? Yeah. It was a year and a half ago. So he read the entire Hulk run in preparation to do this.
You have to with the Grand Design book, but it's interesting because he very easily could have said, "Well, I don't need to read this run because I've read it as a kid and I have these in my collection." Or no, he went back and read through the entire thing. So yeah, I mean, I recommend getting on their the Cartoonist Kayfabe and checking out where he's talking about it. It'll hype you up if you're not. I was hyped up already. Yeah, I'm already hyped.
But when he starts showing these pages, I mean, this is the best Jim Rugg stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks to me like he has put the most effort I've ever seen him do in this work.
I hope so. Well, I mean, like I said, I like his art anyway.
Yeah.
It's funny. So I'm curious to see what direction he goes in it because, like I said, when Ed Piskor did his X-Men Grand Design, his was largely just a very kind of borderline encyclopedic bullet points of the X-Men's history, right? Like, so
all the major points.
Yeah, he didn't deviate. Like he didn't kind of there wasn't a lot of. That's not fair to say. He didn't create his own story, right? Like he didn't.
No.
He stuck with the script. Whereas Tom Scioli in his Fantastic Four book, he kind of went off on a tangent. Like he threw in some of his like personal creativity to make new story arcs out of it in the Fantastic Four. I thought both were really cool.
Yeah.
Like the X-Men, like I said, more from just a encyclopedic standpoint, a history, a retelling.
Yeah.
But I'm a fan of Scioli, and I love his brain, right?
Yeah.
Like, American Barbarian. Like I love to see what he does, and I think he does a really good job of like channeling Kirby into something that is an interpretation of Kirby, obviously, but the spirit of Kirby is there. That to me is Scioli, and so I'm curious to see where Jim Rugg goes if he's going to to do one or the other with the Hulk history.
On this channel, he talks about that he read the entire run so he can pick out the most pivotal moments in the run.
Yeah.
And, having to squeeze that down, he talks about the concept of squeezing 20 comic books down into one page.
Yeah.
So he's doing these are the high points, these are the strong points throughout the character's history as he, chooses them to be, of course, he says. But he does a really great explanation on his approach and how he did it.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, the art, man, looks so good too, man. I was like I was blown away by how good it looked.
It's stunning, dude. He does great work.
Yeah.
If you haven't read Street Angel, highly recommend going back and and finding. Yeah, you can start from the beginning because there's been several Street Angel things, but it's a good story. It really is. It's a lot of fun. All right, so we gave you the good. Now we got to give you the ugly and the bad. But for those of you who are on social media, and you're interested in comics, I'm sure a lot of you saw. But we got some bad news this week. As comics fans, as lifelong comics fans, George Perez announced that he's been diagnosed with stage 3 pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer, there's not a lot to do that they can possibly do with it. So he announced, he's like, hey, look, I've had a great life. I'm the luckiest man in the world. And he says that about himself constantly. He's like, I don't want to live the last of my days. I don't want to get an extra month being in pain.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let nature run its course. I'm going to spend some time with my friends and my family and my beloved wife and the fans. Like he went this weekend to a cosplay thing where people were doing to hang out with fans of his.
Yeah.
And he's going to fill his last days with joy. And I gotta say, I didn't know it was possible for me to have any more respect for him as a person and as an artist who is, I have a connection to personally because he's, I've said it before, he's the artist that I credit with getting me into comics. He's the first comic artist that I ever recognized as there being a person behind the lines. I was like, oh, okay, like this is recognizable. But who is this? Oh, this is George Perez.
Yeah.
His Avengers work was one of the first superhero comics that I picked up and fell in love with. So, I adore the man, but the amount of respect I have for that man and choosing to do what he's doing, to have this much resolve in the end of his life is astounding.
Man, it tells you've really chosen the right thing to do in life if you choose to keep doing it when you've been given that kind of news.
Yeah.
And that's like, wow, man.
We should all hope to have that level of just personal satisfaction with our lives and like I said, resolve for when we if we ever get that news. It's stunning. So as far as a career, man, like very few people
beyond reproach.
Yeah, like very few people can say that they've had that much of an influence. Maybe 15 human beings in the entire world have the influence that George Perez has over comics. So, and like I'm sitting here and Wonder Woman Historia was on my short stack, and he completely reworked Wonder Woman, completely changed the mythos of that character, and made it better to its benefit. Retcons get a bad name because a lot of times they don't stand the test of time, right?
Yeah.
But he knew that character and knew the impetus of that character so well that he completely, changed it. And Teen Titans, for me, the Avengers, but his hand on comics is outstanding. And Phil Jimenez he's an alkalite. He's a student of George Perez, and you see that in his art. So, modern artists today will tell you, it's like, George Perez is somebody that I looked at, and somebody whose panels and layouts I studied, and the detail that he puts in everything. He's such an important figurehead to the medium.
Yep.
So, just respect to him, and man, I hope these next couple of months are awesome for him. Like, just go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
So, just much love to him and his family. So, but that's really it on the news angle of things that I really saw. Let's talk about comics.
Yep.
Let's bring it up a little bit. So this week we got together, as we are wont to do, and we picked a book to read simultaneously. We try to do that every week, and I should say spoiler warnings for anybody who hasn't read the book that we're going to talk about. It's Mother F Goose. From Aftershock Comics. We haven't spoken about an Aftershock book in a minute. I don't feel like. This is a wonderful, wonderful book. It's incredible. Art by Joe Eisma, written by Frank Thierry, colored by Matt Herms. And like I said, Aftershock just coming back and hitting us in the face with it. So I'm going to read the summary that they have, and then I'll get into it. So this book, and you read it last week as your suggestion.
The menu book.
So the three little pigs are gluttonous casino owners. Little Miss Muffet is a hard-nosed cop with arachnophobia. The three blind mice are ocularly impaired assassins. Puss in Boots is a feline-faced scumbag. Welcome to Mother F Goose, where your favorite fairy tales are turned into twisted characters right out of a Tarantino movie. Now, when you read that last week, I was actually thinking that this book was going to be something more akin to Fables, where you had these like anthropomorphic figures. That's what I pictured in my brain because I hadn't seen any of the art or anything for it. So it surprised me a little bit when that wasn't the case. The story is a lot of fun, but it's really more of like a hard-nosed dirty cop story. Or I shouldn't say dirty cop, like against the rules cop, a cop who is not constrained by, things like the Constitution. And so they open up and it's just what you heard. So this world is a dirty mafioso style world, right? There are these 3 casino owners, and they are called the 3 pigs because they are just big dudes, right? Like they
gluttonous,
they're
assholes.
nasty. Their cholesterol is probably bad. One could assume, but they, the one casino is just kind of built out of straw, right? It's like is it really a casino or is it just a gas station with a slot machine in it?
There's plenty of those.
Yeah, it's not the best in the world. The other guy, his casino is a little better built, but it's more like a this isn't Vegas. This is more like, Oklahoma, as far as casinos go. But the third guy, his casino is just like rock hard, like it's a brick. Like this is the high roller casino. But they've all been knocked over. Something terrible has happened. They've been robbed. Their coffers are empty, so to speak. And you got to figure out why. Who's doing this? And this has led to a series of crimes. Murder has happened because there is a new mafioso style guy who is his father left him a badass in his will, so to speak. His other brothers got like money and Ferraris, but he left him the mafia.
He was bequeathed the hitman.
Yeah, and one who is basically has the cojones and the gusto to just walk up and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna handle this for you. Sit back and just relax." Like this dude is hard. And has the, I don't know what you call it, has something about him that just allows him to walk into places and wreck the room and then walk out. And he's done that. Like he's the reason all of these casinos got hit. There's a twist to that, but he is going to make this man mafia legend. Essentially, is the plan. Well, the cops are catching wind of what's going on, and you have our main character. Number one, you have Little Miss Muffet, who is actually a hard-nosed detective. She's walking around. She's got like a spider tattoo all down her arm.
Yeah.
But she's more of a by the books cop, whereas her partner is not. Her partner is just a dude who is willing to throw men in a trunk to get information out of them. He's that kind of guy.
Yep.
I don't know that he would break. He'll break the rules. He'll bend them and break them and tie them in little knots and make them into confetti. So he's basically, he rounds up a couple of low level, good old boys who are tethered to this and is torturing them for information, while again outside of this, the hitman that was bequeathed to our mafioso is just raining pain all across the board. So this was a fantastic first issue. I loved the cover of it. The cover is a clear homage to Scarface.
Yeah.
And what Thierry and Eisma have done in taking the world and tethering it to these fairy tales, tethering it to these these fables, much in the same way that like I said, I think there's you have to kind of consider fables in this, right? Mm-hmm. Like the book, like Bill Willingham's Fables did something similar. This doesn't make the metaphor into reality though, whereas Fables did. This is a mafia story.
Yeah.
But Bigsby's not turning into a werewolf in this, right? So it's just a mafia story, but it's told through the lens and the connection of just these. He distilled the characters and the just what makes up those characters down, and he placed it in these people, and I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed the book.
Me too.
Read it, like I said, I read it digitally. I'm jealous because you have the actual cover, and it's that kind of like Historia, or kind of like you see at Black Label, oversized magazine size.
Yeah.
And I need to get my hands on an actual hard copy of this because it was fun.
Yeah.
I'm staying on this. But you are. just knowing you the way I know you, you're more of a fan of like mafia stories and history. So I'm gonna let you kind of wax poetic on it for a minute because I know you really enjoyed this.
Oh yeah, I did because I am a mafioso, crime story kind of buff. I've read a lot of books about the mafioso. I've seen all the documentaries I can come across. So they're just fascinating. It's a fascinating world to participate in, quote unquote, organized crime, which is a misnomer, but best describes it. And this was just a really fun representation of that. I mean, you have human personas displayed in the character of these fabled characters.
Yeah.
The Three Little Pigs are obese asshole casino owners and so on, like you kind of went through. They're just humanized, and it was just it's just plain fun. And it's a ground level crime story. There's no super fantastic parts of the story. Super fantastic in the way of like fantasy. Unfortunately, it's a one shot.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Now, you know how these things kind of go. If this does well enough, we'll get another, quote, one shot, I'm sure.
I didn't know it was a one shot. It didn't feel like a one shot for me.
Yeah, it's a one shot. So we'll see if we get another one. I'm really hoping it does well enough that it'll motivate them to do so. I liked it. I mean, I went into it curious, but I liked it more than I thought I might. I didn't go in with any, like, high expectations. I just went in with this, like, okay, let's see how this is. I typically don't go into a book not expecting to like it, but my expectations weren't very high,
right?
Because the premise is like not necessarily a premise that I'd gravitate to. But I wanted to see, what Frank Thierry and Joe Yzma could do with it. And man, they delivered. It was great. Yeah. It was such a great, and even if you don't make the connection to the fables, fairy tales stuff, it's just a fun crime story. I mean, if you forget that it's represents all these old stories, it's just fun in and of itself. So yeah, I recommend it to anybody that has any passing interest, especially in crime or mafioso specifically.
Well, I'm going to have to go file a complaint. I'm going to have to call up Frank and just bitch at him for a second for this being a one-shot. Because it really didn't feel like a one-shot for me. Like, it felt like the story has legs. Like, I think this story can go places.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're talking about expectations. Like, my expectations were fairly high because of the creative team. Like, I like Joe Yzma. I like Frank Thierry. They're kind of they're dependable. They're dependably great creators. I enjoy a lot of their work. So I already had fairly high expectations, and I said earlier that I really did have this kind of expectancy that it was going to be something akin to fables, that we were going to open up and there were going to be anthropomorphic beings. It was actually refreshing that it wasn't for that, because I think it's easy to expect that, and it would be easy to create something derivative when you're doing a story like this, and they avoided that. They really did avoid that in a really compelling and great kind of way.
Yeah. Well, how he interprets these animal characters to people. Yeah. It's just that's fun to me. Like the Miss Muffet thing with the spider tattoo on her arm. That was really cool. And the Three Little Pigs being displayed the way they are is really cool. I like the way he took those and turned them into these characters within this crime world. It's just smart, creative stuff.
It's fun. It's a fun comic. Yeah. Man, I'm disappointed that it's a one shot. Yeah. That just hurt my feelings.
Yeah,
like,
sorry.
I'm going to show you where it hurt me on the dull.
Sorry about that.
I won't do that to you. I won't put you through that. No, it's good stuff. So I highly recommend anybody, especially now that I know it's a one shot, like, go grab this. If you can get your hands on the physical copy, it's big. Thierry looks great. Yzma looks great. Yzma looks fantastic in this.
Yeah.
His lines are wonderful. They're kind of loose, just like you expect it to be. He's a cartoonist. So he gives you a lot to interpret in a really great kind of way. It's violent. Like, they
it
don't
certainly
pull back.
is.
Yeah, they don't pull, and we haven't really talked about that, but it's actually violent. There's a lot of gratuitous violence shown in this, and that's not typically something that. I like it when it's appropriate, and in this story it's appropriate.
Yeah.
So, and I really enjoyed that. Now, sometimes you read comics and it's just like,
gratuitous.
That was really gory for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
Like just because you wanted to draw some nasty. And okay, cool. I don't gravitate to that. But you give me a beheading and a Conan story, and I'm like giddy.
It belongs.
Yeah, it's necessary. One might say.
Yes.
Yeah. This was the correct usage. I feel like for as a fan. Now I'm saying this and caveating that with somebody who's just I'm a dude reading a book. So this is just my subjective opinion. One might say. But it felt like the appropriate time and place to use some really actually comical hyperviolence. So and I just thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Me too.
Gonna hope for more.
Yeah.
Gonna phone up Frank.
Yeah.
Like, hey, bruh.
Money talks, man. Buy it, folks. If you want more,
I'll give you 8 more whole dollars.
Yep.
So that actually makes sense though. I was a little sticker shock. I had sticker shock when I paid for it.
Yeah.
Because it was $7.99.
Buying it digitally, I could see that.
Yeah, that's that hurt my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't mind reading digitally. Being a one shot and it being an oversized issue, because it's not a small issue. It took a little bit to read.
Mm-hmm.
It reads fast, but it's not like you're
No, it's not text heavy.
Yeah.
It's easy to read.
Yeah.
Very easy to read.
But there's a lot of pages there.
Yeah.
So you do get. I feel like you get your money's worth.
Yeah.
Even with a hefty price tag on it, which again, knowing that it's now a one shot, makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So not mad at it whatsoever.
Nice.
Really enjoyed my time. Read it with coffee, as all comics should be read.
Nice.
Well, did you read anything else this week, man, that you want to dig into?
Yeah, I did. So my book of the week that I'm going to talk about is from Marvel.
Nice.
So this is part 1 of 6, a Marvel event, Devil's Reign.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is an event. I'm usually not so super hot on events. Right. I have what I call as event fatigue. But the writer on this is Chip Zdarsky, and the art is by Marco Cicchetto. Mm-hmm. Color artist is Marcio Menez. Letterer is Clayton Cowles. This picks up where the last Daredevil arc left off.
Okay.
And for those of you that weren't on the last Daredevil arc, first...
Raise his hand.
Yeah, I mean, it was outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding. And the compelling nature of the story is just as strong in this first issue. It's not skipping a beat. There's an epilogue in the last issue of the last arc where Kingpin is going through his vault and he's going through some of his personal files. Mm-hmm. And he finds a file that reads, it is labeled Daredevil's Identity. And he's reading that file. Well, when we get into this issue, what we find out is he's angry because those pages are blank. Huh. And he knows something's up. He knows somebody has done something and he doesn't know what it is.
Right.
Well, in that last issue, Daredevil is retelling Elektra that, the world used to know who Daredevil was as Matt Murdock. Mm-hmm. And the Purple Man's son essentially mind-wiped the entire population to erase that from the public consciousness. So that's been erased from the public consciousness. So what you draw from this is that the information is on those files, but that part of the brain is not functioning for Kingpin, so he can't read them. Yeah. So he knows somebody's gotten into his brain, and he is hot about it. So he is mayor. He enacts legislation to outlaw superhero antics.
Vigilantism.
Specifically when you're causing damage. He makes it a point to, his leverage on this and his justification to get public support is these people are knocking down buildings. They are costing our city, more than they're helping it, because we have policemen and we have emergency responders like firemen. They can go in and take care of these things without damaging property. So you're just getting in the way. So he passes legislation with that justification, all based on this file and his feeling of retribution around that. So most of the issue is the superhero community in New York reacting to that, because there are squads that are sent out to take down superheroes in the midst of their activities with, power dampeners, so on. There's a great scene. There's a fire. There's a building on fire. And Spider-Man saves a little girl. And here come these enforcers saying, what you're doing is illegal. Hands behind your back. Captain America shows up and says, son, he's not going to be arrested today.
Sit down.
And, of course, the soldier's like, Captain, this is the law. And he's like, if there is a law that outlaw saving a child, that law will be broken. Yeah. So again, it's a nice little moment. Just to, there's no. I never get tired of writers reminding the audience that Captain America is not Captain Government.
Right.
So that was I really appreciated that moment. Well, apparently what we also find out is this squad proactively goes to the Baxter building, clamps down on Mr. Fantastic and Sue with collar dampeners with the sole intention to hand over that laboratory to Doc Ock. So there's an excellent scene where Doc Ock walks in on his metal tentacles and lets Reed know, thank you very much. I've always wanted this laboratory.
Yeah.
And he has this just euphoric moment looking at Reed's lab, knowing it's all his. And there's an even better moment where these enforcers go upstairs to arrest Franklin and everybody else in the house, including the Thing.
Yeah.
And they mistakenly open up fire. And there is an amazing panel where the Thing just goes dark before he reacts to these guys opening fire on the kids in the room. And of course, the Thing shields them.
Right.
Such a good panel. Just a very quick, silent panel of Ben going dark before he violently reacts to these guys opening fire on these kids. There's so many good moments in this. Luke Cage has a great interaction with the Shocker on the streets.
Yeah.
The Shocker's talking down to him, letting him know he's the law now, and Luke Cage doesn't react well to that. It puts him in his place a little bit. I mean, there are so many outstanding moments in this book like that. Moon Knight is arrested. Moon Knight is like the first super type, however you want to say it.
Of course he gets caught first.
Yeah, Moon Knight is the first arrested. So that opens up some very interesting things. How's that going to fit in with the current run? What's it going to be like Moon Knight being arrested and in captivity? How's he going to react to that? So then this was outstanding. And if you missed the last Daredevil run, which a lot of people did because Daredevil kind of fell off a lot of people's radar, I was late to the Daredevil run. I had to be talked into getting onto it. Mm-hmm. And outstanding. And I haven't been like a lifelong Daredevil fan. Yep. It's been a character that I just didn't feel strongly about. So, this is a chance for people to get on where they might have missed the last run because it's starting off it's just as strong as the last one did. It's starting off so well. There's a whole undercurrent story where, the Kingpin, he's mayor. Well, his son has come to town and made himself the new Kingpin of crime. And Wilson is trying to beyond the curtain, help him along. Like, hey, here's some pointers for being a Kingpin type thing. And his son wants nothing to do with him. Doesn't even want to acknowledge him as a father. So that kind of thing's going on. But the cover for part 2 in this Devil's Reign event has got Taskmaster and what looks like Doc Ock teaming up to take down Spider-Man. So I mean, I mean, it looks great.
So I picked up this first issue because it is an event, and I mean we all kind of live in the state of event fatigue. But if you're a fan of superhero comics in the big two, it's just something that on some level you learn to live with if you're going to keep reading the books because we kind of have to.
The events. The events that I, to kind of expand on that, the ones that I'm just totally fatigued on are like the intergalactic threat events.
Galactic.
Another alien coming in. That's the one that I'm just like, I cannot do these anymore.
Well, and this to me, and again, I haven't read it, but I did buy it. But just from the way you talk about it, it feels more like a crossover. Like we always, when we've had this debate before on the show, like what is an event and what is a crossover? This feels more like a crossover where they're pulling in some of these more like Manhattan-based street characters. And not the Avengers, like Thor's not necessarily going to show up. He might, who knows? But it doesn't feel like it feels like an old school boots on the ground crossover.
Well, this feels like it's. I mean, so far anyway, this is involved. Because Wilson's just the mayor of New York. So this legislation only affects New York. Right. So if you're anybody that's not New York based, you'd have to come into this jurisdiction to get involved. Yeah. You're not there already. God, I want Punisher to show up so badly.
And that's such an interesting take too, because Civil War existed, right? Like we've had Civil War, and then we recently had something similar in the Champions, where they basically put an age limit on it and would outlaw underage vigilantes.
That's mentioned in this.
Yeah, so they just had that. It's neat that Zdarsky like is compressing it and showing you like, okay, let's go to the local level with this and see what this would look like there. And it's Manhattan, and like that's where all of these that's the birthplace of Marvel is Manhattan. So that's where all of these people stem from. Yeah. So even doing it on the local level, you're still basically you're outlawing 90% of what these folks do.
Yeah.
Right. It's such a neat conceit or a basis for this kind of story and the construction of it.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to love Checchetto. Like I'm always.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Oh, work. So good.
It's stunning. So you're talking about you being late to the party with Daredevil. I showed up to the dance and then left early just because of the amount of money that we spend on comics, the amount of comics that we get every week. Yeah. It's very easy for a book to rub me the wrong way, and if it's not a book that like I'm connected to and a completist on, then I can drop it. So for instance, with this book, one of my pet peeves in comics, I cannot stand it. Like when I see it, it makes me want to set something on fire, is when people don't know how to draw bullets. And like literally, if you're on my like, you can go to my.
I forgot about
page,
that. I remember this.
You go to my Instagram page. Every time I see it, I will call it out and just be like, "Dude, it's not this."
Caleb, they're city dwellers, man. You can't. The country boy can't hold it against the city dwellers. It
drives me insane.
I mean, that's not fair. It's not their world.
I didn't say it was fair. Okay. It's completely irrational. I totally accept that, but it is my pet peeve. Like when I see people who like, oh, the bullet's coming out of the end of the gun and the casing's still on it, bro. No.
Now, yeah. I mean, a person should do a little bit of research.
Just a basic, like, yeah. So there was an issue, and this was not drawn by Checchetto. I'm not going to say who it was drawn by, but
the duck hunting.
Yeah, he was number one duck hunting with a scoped rifle. And then the bullets were just the entire like bullet casing, and I was like, nope, like pull it off my pull list. I'm done. And I realized this is not the main creative team and everything, but it was an offense that I could not get over, and so it gave me a window to jump off of the title, and so I haven't been keeping up with it, unfairly so, because you and Craig both.
It's been awesome. And Craig almost jumped off too. Yeah. I mean, there was a character moment that it rubbed him the wrong way, but Craig doesn't jump off of books. He just buys them and stops reading them. So he stopped reading it for a while, and I think I convinced him to pick back up on it because I kept saying how good it was. I may be wrong, but I think that's how I know he definitely got heated about that character moment that he didn't care about. I
mean, it was out of character, but it wasn't like that. It was one of those things you have to keep reading it and explain what was going on.
Well, yeah, and Matt Murdock's whole Frank Miller created this whole character struggle that he has, and that's been the basis of his storyline ever since. And that was a moment in that to me. That was a big flub of character struggle for him, but it was one that fit in with his character.
It stems from Born Again. Yeah. It is absolutely part and parcel of that legacy, and I mean, that's one of my favorite stories of all time. So, I mean, it was neat for me to like learning how it played out. I was like, okay, like I'm more and more just being more and more impressed by Zdarsky as a writer, especially in like superhero comics. Yeah. And I like Zdarsky's other stuff, but watching him play with these legacies and these storied characters at Marvel, the man does his homework, and I don't think anybody can say that he doesn't. Yeah. You can dislike him if you want to, but he does his homework. He knows these things.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about reading this.
And I talked about a current book.
You did. I'm proud of you. I do want to know, just from your opinion. I know you said that it's got like the epilogue from the last the book on it. Do I need to have read the last few issues of Daredevil to know what's happening?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, you can jump right in on this. The last storyline doesn't change anything in the Daredevil history. Okay. It's just a great chapter in that history, and you can go into this without reading that and not skip a beat.
Cool. Cool. That as hopefully I'm gonna read it this afternoon. I'm gonna sit down and read some comics and have some more coffee.
Certainly recommend it.
Nice. Well, I've got it, and everybody else should take your word as per usual. They should just take your word for it.
That's always been my stance.
Hopefully, if I ever write anything, I'm gonna make you like you're gonna do the little thing, the blurb on the front for me. That's forward by Matt Trogdon. That's I'm looking forward to that. So I got something in the mail this week that I'm really excited about, and we've actually had these creators on and spoken to them before, and a little. Partially because we like them, partially because, they're old friends of ours. And they kind of hail from our little local comic shop. That's where we all got to know each other. But a while back, I backed via Kickstarter a book called Mechaton by our good friends Dalton Shannon and Wells Thompson. With some artists that they looped into the mix here. So Fernando Pinto did the lines on it. Color by Megan Casey with Mayday Trip. Mayday also did some work on it, and lettered by Nathan Kemp. I enjoyed this story, but before I get into the story, I just want to, I want to say how cool it is from a personal standpoint, watching these two guys that I was friends with that weren't comic creators when we met them. They were just comic fans. Go from creating DIY, print it off at home, staple it together, pamphlets, 8-page short story comics, to Mechaton, to what this is, a professionally produced, really, really beautiful book. Fun story that looks like something that should be on the shelf. Like this looks like something that Boom would publish, right? Like it is that good. So just from a point of personal privilege, like congratulations to the entire creative team, but especially to Dalton and Wells, because this is something that they've always dreamed of doing, and they are making it a reality. That is cool. They had a successful Kickstarter. They produced a great comic that is a professionally produced comic. That is cool. Great job, guys. I really, not only did I not enjoy it, but I'm proud of you as your friend for the work that you put in. And I'm saying that because they're going to listen to the show, so I'm going to tag them in it, and I just want them to know that is true. And it's also really cool. So they did something fun at the front. I guess if you kickstarted to a certain level, you got a thank you. Now I did not kickstart to a certain level because I'm a broke law student. So, but our former co-host and friend Jerry Smith. His name is all up in the front of this.
Nice.
It was cool to see him. Tyler Hobbs, he's in this. It was really great to see so many people that we know. Alexis Shannon, she's kind of obliged and married into it, so has to. But it was great seeing friends of ours who supported this too. But this story is a neat throwback, kind of all ages adventure story, and that's cool. Like I could give this book to my 7-year-old nephew and not think about it, because he's going to enjoy it. It's going to be fun. Derek and Leah are brothers, and they're like this brother and sister duo. And Derek is kind of a slob. He's not doing a whole lot with his life. He likes to sit in the basement and play video games. His job is a pizza delivery dude. He's kind of content with it, but he's not trying to climb up the corporate ladder or anything. But one day she comes home and is like, "Bro, you're late for work. You got to get out the door." And he's playing video games, and he's like, "Yeah, but I know it takes me exactly 12 minutes and 47 seconds to get to my job from here. I'm not trying to show up early. I'm just going to go." And so eventually she's like, "Yeah, but you forgot you have to put on your uniform." And by the way, his uniform is one of those like golf hats that it's not a real hat. It's a visor. That's his uniform. So he has to get up and go to do that. But even if he is kind of just and I think he's meant to be portrayed this way, kind of a stereotypical millennial, like aimlessly doing nothing with his life. Like he's just not worried about, getting out and making a whole lot of money or anything. He is a good person, right? Like he is, he's working for this delivery company, and the pizza delivery place is like, 30 minutes or it's free. He knows one of his neighbors, as he's passing his neighbor runs a hot dog stand. And he's selling his hot dogs, and it's like, hey, I thought your son was birthday party day. He's like, it is, but I can't afford to take the afternoon off. Our son is, he's got some health problems. We're trying to pay the medical bills. We can barely cover our mortgage as is. And he's like, well, I'm on the way to deliver these pizzas, so I'll let him know that you're still here and that you're doing well. So on the way there, he stops to tie his shoe. He stops to kick a rock. He does whatever he has to do to make sure that he doesn't show up on that doorstep till 30 minutes and 1 second. because he's not going to charge this family for this pizza
Yeah.
on the day of their son's birthday party when they're already struggling. So he wants to make sure that he can get them what they need, to celebrate their son's birthday, and it not eat into what little money they have. Like, he's a good person. Like, he's not concerned. If you're a business owner, you're like, well, that's not good. That's theft. You might say that, and I get that point. But he is not the kind of person who's really concerned about corporate profits. So in the midst of this, his sister is kind of a inventive person. She's a kind of young girl who goes to the scrapyard and pulls things to make inventions, robots, what have you. And as she has gone to the scrap heap to find whatever trinkets and little bits and pieces she can find, a meteor, something, falls out of the sky and lands in the scrap heap. Like, she's like, that's weird to see a shooting star during the day, and then she realizes it's coming straight for her. She has to jump out of the way. When the smoke kind of clears, she realizes it's a gauntlet. Like, there's this big giant glove. Kind of looks like the Infinity Gauntlet a little bit. So I mean, I think it's meant to. But she grabs it and was just like, what is this nifty neat thing? And she's the kind of, she's got an inventive mind. She's got a creative mind. So she's definitely taking this thing home with her. So she calls up her brother and is like, hey, meet me in the park. We got to look at this thing and check this thing out. And as they are playing with it, luckily this thing has a USB port. So, I mean, that's first and foremost. As they are playing with this nifty little space gauntlet gadget thing, trying to figure out what it does, a giant cockroach attacks out of nowhere. This giant kaiju of a bug starts wrecking shop, and it's weird because Derek's kind of like got the glove on, and while his sister's plugging it into her phone trying to figure out what's going on, and as right before the bug hits, he's hungry, so he goes up to his buddy, his neighbor, the dad who's got the hot dog stand, and was just like, look, you should really go to your son's party. Let me watch the hot dog stand for you. Get out of here. Go see your kid, man. And then the bug attacks, and he's standing right next to this hot dog stand. So he accidentally touches the hot dog stand when the giant bug attacks, and turns into this giant mecha robot hot dog. I forget what they called it in. What was the movie about the big robots that had the? I'm a terrible nerd. I can't even think about what this is. They got in the giant robots to fight the kaiju.
Pacific
Rim. Yeah. I forget what they called the giant robots in that.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
But it's basically that. It's this giant mech suit derived from a hot dog stand, complete with ketchup, mustard, and mayo cannons.
Nice.
So I mean, just completely like. I'm gonna use the word absurd, but I mean that as a compliment. Like this childlike wonder. What we all do this as kids. Like, any kid can find a stick and pick it up, and it's a gun, right? Like in that child's hands, he's a space ranger with a laser cannon in his hand, and it's a stick, right? So it's taking that concept and playing it into this, and so he does. He's got this giant mech suit from this glove, and he fights the bug, and it's a cockroach, and cockroaches, as we all know, are hard to kill, but he is able to overcome. I adored this book. Like, I really did, and I'm not like, I could not know who these people are that made it. I would still come away saying this is fantastic. A few weeks ago, I told people to go check out Jonah and the Impossible Monsters, because it's kind of this all ages, childlike wonder, fun adventure story. This is like similar in tone. It really is great, and I can't wait to see what comes next. In January. The plan is, I believe, to launch a Kickstarter for the second issue, and I really hope everybody goes and backs the second issue, because I would love to see where these kids are going, and what the creative team, what Dalton and Wells are going to pull out of their brains, because it is cool comics. Like I said, this could be like, I hope that they are able to get enough together to do an ongoing series. Very easily see this getting sold to a company like Doom, or like Boom Studios.
Nice, yeah.
It's that cool. It's that professionally well done. So everybody look to January. January 13th is when it's supposed to be starting. Check out Kickstarter and back the book. It's going to be, the second issue is called Accelerate, or What to Expect When You're Expected to Save the World. which is going to be fun stuff. And I should say, I didn't mention it, but this story is actually called Chapter 1, Ignition, or How to Properly Punch a Giant Cockroach in the Face. So super fun stuff. Really, really happy I have this. They were nice enough to sign a copy for me and send it to me. So thoroughly enjoyed it. Really, really want everybody, if you can, to. I don't know if they have any extra copies for non-Kickstarter backers, but check out 4Color Comics, or find Dalton or Wells, their social media pages. I'm sure you can ask them if you want your own copy of this, and you do, because it's fun stuff. But actually, I need to call them and talk to them. I'm curious about how. I don't know if you saw this last week. Kickstarter announced that they are. And I didn't read all the details, so I don't know what exactly this means, but they're going crypto. So I don't know if that means that Kickstarter is only taking crypto, or Kickstarter
is... What?
Yeah. Yeah. So like they're only doing it that way. Now, like I said, I need to read the details, but a lot of the, I'm on Twitter, and like I tend to spend a lot of my Twitter time in comics Twitter. And a lot of people were just really, really upset. A lot of people who are well-known, well-known Kickstarter creators who they produce several successful comics. They are highly upset by this, and I don't know what it means. And I need somebody who is smarter and understands crypto better than I can tell me why it's an issue. But I'll take I'll take their word for it that it's an issue.
Yeah, I mean that's a serious issue. I mean if they're only accepting crypto, that means you got to go buy some crypto coins, and crypto is an unstable. Yeah. It's unstable at best. I mean, that sounds like that reeks of a decision that's going to be backtracked.
Well, and a lot of people said, yeah, this is about as smart as Tumblr banning porn.
That's what that reminds me of. Yeah. OnlyFans saying they weren't going to have adult content. That's what this sounds like. This sounds like one of those ridiculous ideas. That's just not going to stick. A lot of people have
that, and I am too. Again, I need to go back and actually read the articles and find out. I'm saying this and doing the thing that I hate when people like report the news that they don't know, but I didn't have time because of finals to get the details. But I wonder if it's that they're only accepting crypto or they're only paying out in crypto. Like either way, it's a bad move because now these comic creators, the comic creator can't pay their bills in Bitcoin. They can't keep their lights on. They can't pay their letterer and their colorist. Like guys like Dalton and Wells can't, they can't contract with somebody like Pinto who they hired to do the lines on this to their book. Like they can't pay that dude in crypto.
Yeah, you're making it at the very essence. You're making it harder to do business. Yeah. So, no matter how which way you slice it, you're making it harder to do business. When you make it harder to do business, that means business is going to fall.
Yeah, and what are the other options for comic creators and for comic fans if people leave Kickstarter? Number one, I mean we've said this before, but I'm not backing your Indiegogo book for a variety of reasons. Yeah. One of which is because Indiegogo is a haven for really shitty people who make alt-right comics, and that's how they do it. But also because if you're unsuccessful, if you don't meet your goals or you don't produce your book, you don't have to give the money back to Indiegogo. You don't have to give me a refund. And if I don't get the book that I paid for, I want my money back. So Indiegogo would have to switch up their game to get me to go there. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens with it, and I really hope they change their decision because it's number one, a stupid move, but it's really going to stifle some incredibly creative people from getting their work out.
Yeah, that's yeah. Wow.
So, I'm just full of bad news today. I'm just a bummer. I'm sorry you have to put up with me, man. You deserve better. You deserve a better quality of co-host.
You're on quite the run today, that's for sure.
I'm just here to make sure everybody else is just as depressed as I am. So, but yeah, no, dude, like I said, congratulations once again to Dalton and Wells and that entire team and their families who supported them through the making of this. Mechaton is actually a ton of fun. It's really great. So look into it. Go check it out.
Right on.
And then, as usual, next week, we're going to end the show by telling you something that you should go pick up based solely on our word because you trust us and you believe that we would not steer you wrong. Now, in saying that, we've been wrong before. So, don't come throw things at us. Keep your rotten fruit to yourself. But these are books that are coming out next week. We have not read them, or at least I have not read the book that I'm going to tell you to go pick up. Sometimes we get comp copies, but this is not one of those cases. But it's something that we saw in previews or we saw being being promoted for next week that we think is going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to tell you to take a chance on it. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go. From Marvel, Hulk #2.
Yes, sir.
From Donnie Cates and Ryan Otley. Mad Scientist Part 2 of 6. Bruce Banner finally has total control with the Hulk locked away. Probably not.
Yeah, I have my doubts. Dude, can we just talk about how great it is for you're a lifelong Hulk fan. I'm a lifelong Hulk fan. Like, that dude is my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my favorite characters in Marvel, I always say Scarlet Witch is my number 3, and they're like, well, who's number 1 and 2? Number 1 is the Hulk. Number 2 is Bruce Banner. Those are my favorite characters in Marvel. There have been some bad Hulk books.
There have.
How great is it as lifelong Hulk fans to be like a Hulk reader right now?
Yeah, it is. It is a great time.
I mean, the Immortal Hulk was phenomenal. Donnie Cates it killed that first issue. I can't wait to see what he does. Jim Rugg is giving us a Hulk book.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Just green, just everywhere. It's awesome. I want folks to go pick out this book. It's a number 1 from a publisher that I keep harping on them because they're amazing. It's Vault. They are the goodness. There is a book called We Ride Titans coming out next week. We Ride Titans number 1 hits the shelves. Kaiju hit hard. Family hits harder, though. Trying to keep your family from imploding is a tall order. Kit Hobbs, who is your main character, is about to find out it's an even taller order when that family has been piloting the Titan that protects New Hyperion from Kaiju for generations. Robots fighting monsters, man. It's a simple concept, and it works every time. It works when it does. If you don't try to get too heavy-handed with it, or if you don't try to do something dumb, it's peanut butter and chocolate. It's gonna be good.
Yep.
You don't need all that extra bullshit.
Yep.
I'm hoping that's what happens here. Between the spiraling brother, a powder keg of a father, and a whole bunch of 20-story monsters, Kit Hobbs got her work cut out for her.
Yep.
So the cover looks phenomenal. This is. This story, who is the creative team? It is written by Tress Dean, art by Sebastian Perez, with Josh Hickson doing some cover art. Now, Josh Hickson, from the plot, you take my money. But look at this cover, like old school Dodge Charger with a robot fighting a kaiju in the background. Like, that's just badass. So I'm stoked for this book. Vault Comics, man. It's just a good.
Yeah,
love
doing some great stuff.
You got anything else you want to throw in for the week?
Man, I think I covered it.
Feel good?
Yeah, I was hoping this was the week we were going to get King Conan.
Yeah.
Not this week, but that's got to happen. It's happening in December.
Yep.
So it's coming, man.
It's going to be your Christmas present.
Give me my King Conan, man.
Actually, I'm gonna buy out all the copies from the store, and then I'm gonna give you one for Christmas. I just don't want you to have to spend your money.
I was waiting for the second part of that statement.
That's just it. I just don't want you to spend your money on it. I want to wrap it for you and put a little bow on it. I really was gonna someday when I'm making lawyer money, I'm actually going to buy you that Born Again hardcover that you wanted for Christmas that we talked about on our last episode, or episode before last, which if folks haven't listened to that, they should go back and listen to it.
Absolutely.
But I'll get that for you one day with my lawyer money.
Oh, well, you don't have to do that, but thank you. Oh, man.
We will be back same time, same place next week. And by that I mean, check your devices and download our thing. Actually, I don't think we're going to be able to record next Sunday. We're going to have to do some wizardry and magic because I'm doing Christmas with my family next Sunday.
Oh,
so that is the reason I can't be here. They have asked my niece, my niece is turning 18 on the 18th. I'm not okay. Check on Uncle Caleb because Uncle Caleb's having a hard time with this. Her birthday is on the 18th, so we are celebrating it and Christmas on the 19th. She has requested I smoke ribs, so
nice.
I will do so for her because she is my baby and I love her.
Nice.
So I'll be doing that next Sunday morning. But we will have an episode out like we always do. I promise. I will not leave you fine folks hanging. In the meantime, if you have enjoyed this, and we hope you have, tell a friend. Maybe gift them the information of a quality podcast for Christmas or for a late Hanukkah gift. Let them know where all the places that you can find us. We're on all the places. If you enjoy being part of a community, come to our Facebook group. Just type in Southern Fried Geekery right there in the search bar. You can check out panels and information and news things that we are interested in on our Twitter and our Instagram. We're at SFG Podcast on both of those. If you got any questions, comments, or concerns, you wanna file a complaint with Matt in the complaint department, you can shoot that email. The responses are going to be great. You can shoot that email to southernfriedgeekery anniversary@gmail.com. Or like if you're Dalton and Wells and you're making your own books and you want to send us a comp copy to talk about it on the show, maybe you're launching your own Kickstarter or something. Shoot us an email. We would appreciate it. We'll check it out. In the meantime, go forth and love some comics.
Do it.
Do it right. Do it good. I'm not gonna show off my hip hop skills.